After completing chapter number 2, we did realize that we did some strategic analysis which was based on a pre-concept. Generally, I told you a very simple thing that whenever we think of a business, think as big as possible, because for strategic management, we need to think big, right? So while thinking big, you were thinking about a business like a SBU, right? Like a SBU, wherein you have three primary levels: corporate level, business level, functional level. We do have SBU level as well. So we had something like that. So strategies need to be drafted at corporate level. Strategies need to be drafted at business level. Strategies need to be formulated for functional level as well. Yes or no? So we are trying to go wide and then go specific, 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 specific. Right? And we have three chapters for it. So ideally, we do have three chapters for it. So there are three dedicated chapters to the concept, and we need to take those concepts in, right? So let it sink in. We have to just let it sink in. So we have three levels of strategies, that is corporate level strategies, business level strategies, and functional level strategies. Definitely, a business level would only come wherein you have more than one business. So we will always assume that we have been pursuing more than one businesses, or I would say that we are pursuing more than one business, provided that we are also taking multiple products into consideration. So try to think as big as possible. Try to be a Nestle, try to be a Reliance, rather than being a one particular company or a one particular sub brand. Right. So we are not approaching to one particular brand. We are approaching to a factor that is we are considering a lot many products, an organization with lot many product divisions. Okay, so we have multiple products coming into play. So we need to devise the strategies at the corporate level, at the business level, and the functional level. So with this particular chapter that we will be initiating, we'll be taking care of strategies at the corporate level. Okay, we'll be taking care of the strategies at the corporate level. Right, I always have something for everyone, right? So this is all that we have done so far, and we've all covered all these things very well, pretty well. And I'm adding on to things. Okay, looks like there's some problem. No worries, it will be solved as well. I don't know how things have been moving. Okay, so we have corporate level strategies. Just a moment. Okay, so now we have corporate level strategies to be undertaken, right? So I'm just skipping chapter number 3. I'm just skipping chapter number 3 and coming to chapter number 4. So in your books, where do you need to focus? You need to just skip one chapter, and you have to trust your teacher in this, right? So rather than asking questions that why are we just jumping one chapter again, and that you started from chapter number 2, which you even did not complete fully, it would be important to take my words and Go by the way that I'm trying to teach, because eventually everything will fall into place. Eventually I'll tie everything up and give it to you as a very good bundled present, right? So don't worry about it. So that's my responsibility, and I have been taking it diligently, right? So I've been undertaking it diligently. So with corporate level strategies, I would say that the business manager or the corporate level manager, I should say the corporate level manager, is focused towards making a decision for the entire company. For the entire company. So the decision has to be broad level. It would not be specific to a particular business, but it would be a broad level decision. So there could be like 4 to 5 businesses which I would want them to expand. Maybe there could be 2 to 3 businesses which I would say that okay, you just continue with the job that you're already doing. Just try and do that better and try to improve your basic efficiencies day in and day out. So this is the kind of thing that I would try and suggest. So this is something that spans all businesses. That would span all businesses in the entity. So the corporate level strategists are generally the group CEOs. I mean the group CEO and other such managers, other functional managers, the group functional managers. They are the people in charge. As we had already discussed once we were discussing the hierarchies, the way that business have expanded. So I was teaching you that also. Okay, so the corporate level strategies are something that need to be applied by people who are at that particular level wherein they look downwards and see that okay, these are all the businesses. Yes, I have to allocate this much fund to them, this much fund to this much fund to these group, this group, this group, this group, this group. So that is how it would be there. Okay, so the corporate level strategies would be different for different businesses. As simple as that. Okay, so if we just have to classify, there are 3 levels of strategies: corporate level, business level, and functional level. Corporate level strategies can also be called as, they are also known as GLUEC and Josh. So you just need to append it to the book also so that you know. So it's also known as GLUEC and Josh strategies. It's also known as grand strategies, right? So make sure that all the corporate level strategies are also known as this, so that you make a note of it and you don't have any problem. So that's also known as master strategies, right? So generally the word is Gluick and Josh, and with them there are certain small words also used, that is master strategies, and there's one more wording that we can say grand strategies. So we can use the word grand or master strategies. Also, we can write Gloic and Josh. So you always remember and there is no doubt. So it should be with the title only so that we don't have any doubt regarding the mechanical stuff that is there, because we need to know such things to answer, right? So whenever in the examination you'll be confronted with a question and which just says that explain the various suitability of various grand strategies, you'll not be able to understand that what we are talking about. So I don't want that you also get into any problem regarding this particular aspect, and I would want that it gets out smoothly, right? So that's something important. Let's look at the types of strategies. So it's directly putting up, the chapter is directly putting up to you the types of strategies that those are corporate level strategies, business level strategies, and functional level strategies. So corporate level strategies are also known as grand strategies, and are meant to provide direction to the company. So I've already made you append the book itself, right? So that there is nothing missing out of it. And then it says business level strategies are formulated for each product division known as the strategic business unit. And it says functional level strategies are formulated to implement the corporate and business level strategies in business areas like production, operation, marketing, finance, human resource, etc. So that's something basic and simple, and we have different chapters allocated to them. So chapter number 4 is already allocated to the corporate level strategies. Of course, chapter number 5 would be allocated to business level strategies, and functional level strategies in itself has one more chapter dedicated to it. So we have to take 3 chapters together, and I will not be missing a single page. I'll not be missing even a single page out of the chapter. So make sure that Rajat Jain is there with you, and this time he'll be taking it all sequentially without leaving a single page on purpose, right? So I'll be taking all the pages of all these 3 chapters continuously, right? So with the teaching there has to be some style of teaching, right? So that's my way of teaching, wherein I'm jumping chapters, but now I have decided that for the next 3 chapters there is no requirement as such. So the concepts are well aligned, and I'll be able to teach you each and everything. Then when we'll be coming back, you'll be realizing the fact that why did I tell you to skip initial portions and go on to the next portions earlier, right? So that would all make sense. So every confusion makes sense someday. That's what we say. Okay, so there are four types of corporate level strategies in the name of stability strategy, expansion strategy, retrenchment strategy, and combinations. So stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. Ideally, if you have multiple businesses, you are going to apply combination strategies wherein you are going to apply stability to someone, expansion to someone, and retrenchment to someone. So that's ideally a business that we look upon to. So we ideally are looking forward to combination strategy as an application. But for applying combination strategy, we need to understand what is stability, what is expansion, what is retrenchment. So ideally the learning comes from where? Stability, expansion, and retrenchment. Now what do we mean by stability strategy, expansion strategy, and retrenchment strategy? I think stability and expansion can be naturally understood, right? Stability does not mean to divest. Stability does not mean that you don't want to continue the business. Stability means that you are doing decently, and you are happy with the way you are doing, and you want to proceed further in the same manner without trying to adapt much, without trying to redefine much of what you have been doing so far. With expansion strategy, your focus is with expansion strategy your focus is where? It's on expanding stuff. And then with retrenchment, and then with retrenchment your focus would be on one particular stuff only, that is that the business is not performing well, so you need to cut off something, right? You are looking for cutting off. So you are thinking of not performing. Since you are not performing at that level, you might want to cut off, right? Or drop or sell out, whatever we say it, right? So drop or sell out something. So you're not happy with the way things have been going with certain businesses, and you decide to drop or sell them out. Okay, so I'm trying to explain it as clearly or as broadly as possible, but at the same time I would want you to actually take a note of certain things which are important. And therefore I would first want you to draw a particular chart, right? And to bring that up, I'll need to check whether now the things are all right or not. I should try once. Okay, you can look at the chart. You can look at the chart, I believe. So with corporate level strategies, we have stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. The look of the chart at the first place, the look of the chart at the first place should allow you to understand a lot of stuff. Okay, look at it and draw it. Look at it and draw it. I'll just look at the connection once. Okay, things do come at times as certain issues. Okay, so we have corporate level strategies in the names of stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. Institute's diagram for this is not absolutely correct. So therefore it makes me worried. It makes me worried about a lot of things, right? So since it makes me worried, I want you to draw something that I've already drawn or I'm drawing, right? So look at it and draw. Take your time. Nobody's stealing it from you, right? So with corporate level strategies, with the discussion named as corporate level strategies, with the discussion name as corporate level strategies, what do you have? You would have four types of sub boxes coming in as coming in as stability. You can draw it side by side. So one would be stability, the other one would be expansion, The other one would be retrenchment, and the fourth one would be liquidation. So what do we have to write? We have to write stability, expansion, as it says, retrenchment, and combination. So it's already there in front of you. You may start drawing it that way. Okay, so there are four strategies, and this flowchart shall always help you do these better, right? So I'm putting up more things into perspective. With stability, we are not going to write anything because we don't have subdivisions. With expansion, we do have, but we need to check how much space do we need, right? So I'm just putting in that. Like with retrenchment, I'm writing what are the ways of retrenchment because we don't need to go further than that. So I'm just putting up what? Turnaround, turnaround, divestment, and liquidation. Okay, and liquidation. Okay, with the all the spaces left out in hand, I'll just again move towards drawing the diagram. So with expansion, I'll try and stretch it, and expansion can also be done in three different ways. So even that has to be put into the picture at the same time. Okay, so we have three different ways for expansion. So expansion can be firstly done by your own self, that is self expansion. That is self expansion. Secondly, it can be done through what? Mergers and acquisitions. I'm being slow so that you can also write. So the second one is through mergers and acquisitions, and the third one is through strategic alliance. I'm writing it for mergers and acquisitions first so as to allow us to have enough space for writing expansion strategies. So that would allow us to have enough space. Okay, so that's how it looks, and I'm trying to make it easy for you. So please look forward to it that this is how I have drawn it, and going forward I'm writing more about it. Okay, so I'll have a change of ink first of all, and I'll write about mergers and acquisitions. So mergers and acquisitions will have vertical merger, vertical merger. Okay, you're not supposed to ask questions to me right now, right? You'll be given a fair chance once we understand these things. So this is just a basic layout. This is not about you trying to be anything, right? Or you being forced to learn anything. No, it's not like that. It's just about a drawing that I want you to draw it in a specific manner so that you don't find it difficult later on, and you have this on a chart so that you can clearly get through it, right? So that's for us. And with self expansion, we have two ways of going for self expansion. So there are two ways, and first one out of them the first one out of them is intensification, and the second one is diversification. Okay, so I'm writing this up. Okay, I'll just need to change it towards the, so intensification and diversification. Look forward to it and keep putting things in. Diversification. Okay, with diversification also we have two more types of diversification. So that also stretches the matrix to somewhat, stretches the graph to somewhere more even into the lower end, and we need to write about the diversification. So diversification are of two types: related and unrelated. Related and unrelated. whereas intensification is direct. So I'm just writing it. Market penetration, market penetration, market development, and product development. Okay. With related diversification, it would be vertically integrated. That too has two parts. So that is forward and backward. The second one is horizontally integrated. And the third one is concentric diversification. At last, we do have an unrelated diversification that is in the nature of conglomerate diversification. So that's how we take that name. Okay, I have just given you a basic idea of how things should look in this chapter. This is all about this chapter actually, to be honest. So you know that where we have more depth to understand. I'm just trying to be more good with it. So I'm just asking you to take it more seriously and take it and understand things well. Right. So there is stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. Then there's this self expansion with your expansion strategy. Expansion can also be done through mergers and acquisitions, and then expansion can also be done through strategic alliance. That's also something to know. Then we have intensification and diversification strategies with self expansion, and that to have related and unrelated diversifications. So even that is something that makes you go through something. Okay, so this looks pretty good the way I have put everything into a single diagram. You just need to do this and draw it out for yourself. This is for the fact that institute has given a diagram which is wrong. I would say that can institute make a mistake? So I would say yes. Institute can definitely make a mistake. So don't always be judgmental about the fact. Let's understand that writing a book, putting content out can have a lot of typical typing issues, typical misunderstandings, typical way things might be moved up and down in formatting, typical way in which things might have been missed, right? So some boxes might get missed as well. So therefore, to avoid any confusion and to keep answering right as per what ICI demands, there is an improvement over the diagram related to corporate level strategies that is given in the ICAI's material, and that is why I'm trying to make it as an improvement for you guys, right? So please make sure that this diagram is the most authentic one which I have taken up, and you should use this to actually understand and probably decipher the way things have been written. So if you don't use it, you'll be probably be into a little bit more trouble. So it would not be able to like decode ultimately. So you'll be finding it a bit troublesome if you don't use it, right? So that's incomplete also, and with some wrong issues also. So with the institute's diagram, you might have a problem. Although I did not give any diagram in my book because I thought that it would be better that I would allow every one of you to draw it in your own session only, in the class only. So that's why I made it a point that you have this with you. Okay, so there are four principal strategies in corporate level strategies, that is stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. Ideally, if I have to talk about stability, stability is doing what you have been already been doing. Right, so definitely, therefore, there are no major discussions on stability strategy as to the types of it. Right, but with expansion, we can see that we can try and expand on our own also, like bringing in resources from the scratch or developing resources from the scratch and then undertaking the business. right? Whereas we could also go through mergers and acquisitions, which is, I should say, an instant means of achieving expansion, because mergers and acquisitions would allow you to apparently expand as quickly as possible. And then there is this concept of strategic alliance, which needs to be discussed. I have not said that I've just discussed it. It's just still left out, right? So I'm yet to discuss about things, and I'm yet to cover those things up. Okay. Then, with self expansion, we do have two types of it: intensification and diversification. Intensification is something like market penetration, market development, product development. And when you look at this, I think you must be wide eyed for the fact that I had taught you one particular matrix, ENSOF's product market growth matrix. And with ENSOF's product market growth matrix, I said that ENSOF's product market growth matrix is only for the businesses which are trying to expand. So you can already see that this is coming into the expansion wing. So the self expansion can actually be done through what? Intensification and diversification. So intensification is giving strength to something existing, right? So market penetration is an existing stuff, existing product, existing market. Market development is an existing product in a new market. Product development is a new product in an existing market. So when you try to strengthen something existing, that is intensification strategies. I think I made you write that please mark 1, 2, 3 and 4 and try and mark 1, 2 and 3 and write that 1, 2 and 3 are intensification strategies. I have already undertaken this step and make you realize that. With diversification, we said that okay, we are trying to enter into a new product in a new market, but we really never discussed about anything. We really never discussed about anything related to diversification much. We were just like, okay, it's been done, it's fine. Okay, fine. So that's the way we've discussed diversification. So diversification was just about new product, new market. But here, now that we have a chance, we'll be discussing diversification in huge levels of detail, right? In the tiniest levels of detail. So I'll be entering into the minutest of it, and I'll be explaining it one by one, one by one, one by one. So I hope that this is something very clear to everyone. And please let me know with the feedback that are you able to listen to me, and are you being able to like take it up clearly without any issues. I just hope so. I just hope so. Yes, please. Good. Okay, so we have stability, expansion, retrenchment, and combination. And this is how the diagram looks. This is the whole chapter 4 as could have been explained. But there is much more to it, always. You also know, and I also know. So we want to discuss about stability strategy. We wish to discuss about stability strategy. Now, what do I mean with stability strategy? Something that we need to acknowledge at the same point of time. What do you think you should mean by stability? So it would say that stability would be about, okay, I'll just take it up this way. Look at this particular, look at this particular diagram or the table that is in front of you, and let's discuss with this only. First of all, so what do we mean by stability? The firm stays with its current business and product markets. Now we've already discussed about existing product, existing market. That means market penetration. But market penetration is an expansion strategy. Market penetration is an expansion strategy. That's not stability. But why something like that has been written into stability? Okay. Also, to take the next sentence, that is the one which is important. Maintaining the existing level of effort. Maintaining the existing level of effort. So it maintains what? It maintains the existing level of effort only. So it is not trying to do something new. It's just trying to maintain what it has already been doing. So that is maintaining the existing level of effort. So when you maintain the existing level of effort, that means you are not trying to go for more growth. Whereas if I just compare it with market penetration, which is an expansion strategy, market penetration, right? So stability and market penetration need to be differentiated. So I'm just writing market penetration somewhere around expansion and trying to compare it. So it's existing product market. If I just have to talk about stability, it is existing product market, product and market, existing level of effort. Whereas you yourself know that with market penetration, which is a part of expansion strategy, that would be also be into existing product market situations only. But market penetration would allow you, market penetration would allow you to be aggressive. So existing product market, but extra level of efforts with what? With expansion. So make sure that you don't miss that out. With extra level of effort. So you need to put in extra level of efforts with what? With expansion. And you don't need to put that much of effort with stability. So with expansion, we already knew that with market penetration, if you remember, just expansion is a lot big terminology. I'm just comparing it side by side. So expansion is much more than market penetration, but just a comparison, just a drawn out comparison, so that you don't miss out on it, right? So it's just a drawn out comparison. Expansion has much more different strategies as compared to just what? Just market penetration, right? So it would be something more than market penetration. But yes, I would want you to understand a very simple fact that here the firm seeks growth. Okay, with expansion, let's hear it out. Here the firm seeks growth, maybe within the current businesses, maybe by entering new businesses that are related to existing, or maybe by entering into new businesses that are unrelated to the existing businesses. So that's your choice. Then there is this retrenchment thing, which says the firm retrenches some of its activities. Retrench means to cut off, right? To limit, to contain. Okay, the firm retrenches some of its activities in some businesses or drops the business as such through sellout or liquidation. So that's not something sounding very good, but you might want to do it for certain reasons and certain good reasons also. And then there is combinations. The firm combines the above strategic alternatives in some permutation and combination so as to suit the specific requirements of the firm. So I think this is very simple and clear, and I should say beautifully written. I'll just check with my internet if that's alive and kicking. That would help me take things forward. Okay, so despite all the issues, we move on as we have to because life must move on. So don't worry, not to be worried about. I'll take care of things. Okay, just listen to me more and much better this time. Okay, let's discuss something about stability strategy. So the thing that we already know is about existing product, existing market, and with existing level of effort. Existing product, existing market with existing level of effort. So that is something we already know. So current business, current product market, but yes, and there's one more important thing to it. So it has to say and 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 it says existing level of effort. So existing product, existing market with existing level of effort, and we are satisfied with incremental growth. See, anybody trying to pursue a stability strategy, anybody trying to pursue a stability strategy has to have a modest growth objective. Anybody wanting to, anybody wanting to go for a stability strategy has to have a very modest growth objective. Why am I trying to explain this? Please understand. With a stability strategy, you are always satisfied with the incremental growth. So that does not mean that you are not doing anything. You are obviously doing something. But why do we say that we are satisfied with incremental growth? Because, see, we might have been doing good so far. We might have been expanding since ages now. So there has to be a point where you decide that okay, now we have done enough and we should stop in this business and try and do whatever we are doing. Just try and improve the ways we are doing things rather than trying to do new things, rather than trying to expand too much because we have already done what was required from us. We might now decide to sit back, consolidate the position already achieved, and sit there and think that okay, how do I take it forward now? So that could be a way of thinking which is important, I believe. undeniably important, I believe. Right? Right, sir. When you have already said something, I think who are we to decide? That's what generally students say. Okay, so current business, current product market, and existing level of effort, satisfied with incremental growth, and which shows what functional improvements. We want functional improvements. We don't want too much of improvement in the way we work. We just want functional improvement. So when you have stabilized and when we are doing the same job again and again, we tend to do that same job better every time. And that's a little air of improvement. That's just giving you the extra edge over things, right? And that's a good thing. That's not bad. See, to stabilize is not never bad. I would never say that it's bad. It's something that allows you to survive. It's something that allows you to understand that things are okay, things can be dealt with pretty easily, and there's no problem about it, right? So it's important, okay, to maintain stability. So that's not bad at all. Okay, I just want to discuss about the characteristics of your stability strategy. So what does those characteristics say? It says that it has a modest growth objective. Anybody going for stability strategy would definitely have a modest growth objective. So how does it say? It shows like this, that anybody going for a stability strategy will have a modest growth objective, right? Because you're not trying to do something which is very new, and you're not trying to actually have too much of gains out of it. So you're not trying to expand, and it could be a well sort of strategy, well thought of strategy. It's not a problem. Okay, then the firm stays with the same business, same products and functions, maintaining same level of effort. This is something that we need to emphasize upon, that we are maintaining the same level of effort, dude. You're not trying to change anything as per se the way things were going on. So you would say that how do you achieve functional improvements then, and how would you achieve minor improvements or functional efficiencies? I would say that by doing the same thing again and again, I would definitely be more efficient anyhow and everyhow and then, right? So that's why I'm going to be more efficient about it. So that's what I'm trying to convey here. Okay, then what does it say? Stability strategy does not involve a redefinition of the business of the corporation. Okay, so see, say for example, if I just go into a saloon and get a makeover, and you would be like, wow. So that's how Rajat sir look right now. Awesome. Awesome blossom. Okay, but that not be the case with someone who would just try it, like me, for example, who would just try and comb the hair before taking a class, and nobody would say that, whoa, Rajat sir is just looking different today. Would not say that, right? Because I've not tried to majorly change myself up. So with stability strategy also, there is no new thing created, or there is no new redefinition wherein people would be awestruck about anything. Wow, what happened suddenly to this kind of a business? This would not be like that. So it just does not involve a redefinition. It's just like continuing what you have been continuing so far, and you are not trying to redefine anything. It is basically a safety oriented, a status quo oriented strategy. Status quo means that I have been doing this so far and I have been surviving this well enough. The status quo should maintain. Now, say for example, um, Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut being suggested by someone that please let's just diversify with our menu and let's bring in more different types of cuisines to it, and not just pizza, and not just restrict ourselves to one or two side items. We can also try and shift to something else. So what might Pizza Hut content would, let's see, we already have a renowned space, we have a status, with our pizzas. So we don't just want to change that, right? We're not interested in changing that up, and we are all right with the way things are moving on. So I am trying to be status quo oriented. I don't want to redefine myself. I don't want someone to look at me and say that, oh, um, Okay, earlier they used to deal with pizzas, now they are dealing with this also. No, I just want to be recognized as, okay, Pizza Hut, yes. So you get good pizzas from them. So that's what I want myself to be known of, or myself to be known about, or in the manner, the way that I want myself to be known. So that's status quo. So status quo. So a lot of people don't want to change the status quo. I've been discussing a lot with some other faculties in the fraternity, and they were asking me, and they have been like quite vocal about things. So we were talking about something called that why doesn't a final teacher also shift to intermediate if he wants to teach, and if he feels that he can teach well, why not? What's the problem? So a lot of final teachers would be like very apprehensive about it, and they would say that we would have a status quo issue. So if someone is having a status quo issue, nothing can help that particular person, right? So say anybody having a status quo issue cannot be dealt with well, right? So it is basically a safety oriented, status quo oriented strategy, right? It's a safety oriented, status quo oriented strategy. It does not warrant much of fresh investments. It does not warrant much of fresh investments. So to be stable, you need not apply too much of funds into it. While it would be exactly opposite with expansion. If I have to just discuss expansion side by side with the things that have already been given, expansion would not have a modest growth objective, right? It would have a high growth objective. Then if I have to say that we will remain with same business, that's not so. We'll try and diversify, and we'll have different various choices to go into something. I already showed you a diagram, and you already know that expansion can be done in several ways. So you're not going to stick to the same business, and you do have various ways. Okay, stability strategy will not involve a redefinition of the business, but with this expansion strategy, the business might be completely redefined, and you'll be like, whoa, wow, looks great, huh? Then it is basically a safety oriented status quo. They would disregard the status quo. They would know that to expand, we'll have to shift gears, we'll have to be doing things that we might not have been doing previously, and that may not be aligned to our image also, but we are ready to diversify as well, right? So it does not warrant much of fresh investments. Definitely with expansion, investments would be there. Risk is also less, risk would be high. It involves minor improvements in product and packaging. That could be a major overhaul. The endeavor is to enhance functional efficiencies in an incremental way through better application and utilization of resources. Apparently, I should say that anybody following a stability strategy would be doing the same thing again and again. So functional efficiencies are bound to happen. Okay, with expansion, you generally try and gain more control over the market. With expansion, you generally try and get more control over the market. So when you are expanding, you are getting more control of the market, right? Because you are now dealing more people, or you are trying to be more aggressive. So your main goal is to get more control of the market. So with expansion, the goal is very different as compared to what stability is. But why should we follow a stability strategy? Something that I love, because this has been written like with precise clarity by the institute, and I would just respect the institute for it. So the words are very clear, and I'm very happy the way this has been written, although this all comes from management books, but that's also something to be very happy about. Why? Because ICI has taken that step to bring in the content that has been taught into B schools, and the way it has been taught in these schools. So that's something really good of ICI, and I would definitely praise on this particular area wherein the reasons for stability strategy have been written, because they have taken care of everything. Okay, a stability strategy can be pursued where a product has reached the maturity stage of the product life cycle. So you already know that why chapter 2 was being taught first, and now chapter 4 being taught, and trying to link that up. We have very recently done the product life cycle concept, and you know already that what product life cycle is. We have three stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So generally when you reach maturity, you do know that you are already selling well. You have already expanded as much you wanted to. I will also take the last point again together with it. So the first point is about reaching the maturity stage. How do you reach the maturity stage? You have actually traveled across the phase of growth or not? Yes, you have. So when you have already done all the growth that was required, it's important to also consolidate on it, right? You just don't keep on expanding and adding things without getting a return out of it. So at some point of time, you have to realize that yes, the product has matured enough to give good returns without me trying to implement anything, right? Or without me trying to expand much around it. So I'm taking the last point also at the same time. Consolidation is sought after a period of rapid expansion. So all the time that you have been expanding, now that you decide that, okay, fine, I have expanded enough. Now I need to enjoy or relish whatever can come to me through what? Through my efforts. Okay, though. Second point. Second point, what does it say? It is less risky as it involves less changes and staff feels comfortable with things as they are. So it's less risky, it would involve less changes, and the staff would definitely feel comfortable with the things as they are. And the environment is faced is relatively stable. So the environment is not trying to trigger anything. The environment is not trying to trigger anything. What do we mean by a trigger from the environment? Environment triggers. See, environment can demand pace of activity. Environment can demand. The external environment could be as such that, okay, if this time I don't do this, I'll be lost. Right. So I'll just explain a very small incident that when Corona happened, and it was like months ago, right? And it had just initiated. I realized I realized that things are gonna change pretty soon. And the way I was working, I did not just work the way that I was working. I decided to step up to the occasion and pull all, go all guns blazing with everything that could be brought to the table into the market. I wanted to go all guns blazing. Why? For the fact that I was enjoying my stability and I was enjoying the way my pen drives were sold. I realized that this was the time where a lot of face-to-face students, would be facing a lot of troubles and they would not have their course completed also. And a lot of such institutes, they tend to delay things. So I brought in some discounts to my classes as well at that point of time. So generally what I used to sell for 8,500, I decided that I will be selling it for 6,350. That meant enough discount for someone to be encouraged, right? That meant enough discount for someone to be encouraged to buy something, right? So I decided that I'll pull down the price a little bit. And with that I'll also emphasize the need of the hour, that what students required. So at that point of time when I was being stable, throughout the time that I was following a stability strategy and was feeling quite content with the way I was moving on, a sudden event made me realize that the market is now still available for grabs. Otherwise, at that point of time or at that juncture of time, you generally don't have fresh students pumping in. But I realized that this would be the right time, that if I do it well, I would be able to pump more students for me. Okay, so what does it say? It is less risky as it involves less changes and the staff feels comfortable with things as they are. The environment faced is relatively stable. The environment faced is relatively stable. So it says the environment faced is also stable. So there's nothing that is acting as a trigger or demanding for you to like change your strategy. Expansion may be perceived as being threatening. Now, say for example, if someone is already into the maturity stage of the product life cycle, they would always feel that if we try and expand now, we'll be at a greater loss, because you know that ultimately the curve has to decline. And with the declining curve, if you are trying to expand, it would be a difficult ball game, right? It would be a very different ball game and it would be very difficult. So uh, it would be like playing chess without the main what do we say, the main characters, without using the main characters. It would be like that, right? So you don't want to do such thing. You want expansion, but not at that cost. So it would be perceived as being threatening. Okay, then it says consolidation is sought for after a period of rapid expansion. So that has been explained beyond a doubt. Okay, now that we come with growth and expansion strategy, even that has to be discussed like to the point. So growth and expansion. Okay, I just have one more thing to discuss with the stability strategy. Let's just read the first paragraph as well. So I don't want to put that off. Okay. One of the important goals of a business enterprise is stability, to safeguard its existing interests and strengths, to pursue well established and tested objectives, to continue in the chosen business path, to maintain operational efficiency on a sustained basis, to consolidate the commanding business position already reached, and to optimize returns on the resources committed in the business. So this is something that we have already discussed so far, so good, with all the characteristics and suitability coming in. Okay, I have added a note to it. So the note is author's note. This is not given by ICI, but I'm very sure that people generally tend to have a problem whenever it says that it is in the same business, in the same product and function. So it becomes existing product, existing market. But existing product and existing market with existing level of efforts is stability strategy. But when we shift from existing product, existing market to some aggressive efforts made by the market penetration strategy, that accounts for an expansion strategy. So please make sure that it's there, and if you're using ICI book at this point of time, you just append it with it. Okay, so it is different from a market penetration strategy. A market penetration strategy is an expansion strategy where efforts are made to increase present sales. Efforts are made to increase present sales. Okay, so market penetration is trying to increase rather than just focusing on incremental improvements, and rather than just doing their functional job well enough, they are trying to increase. So there is an effort involved. So with market penetration strategy, aggressive efforts are involved. In a stability strategy, only incremental efforts are made to improve routine functional efforts, and no aggressive promotions or other tactics are used as such, which is used in the market penetration technique. So that's what I'm trying to explain, because if you just don't take that in, and if you just don't let this particular note sink in, you'd be having a problem in identifying things between MCQs. So you can be lost whenever it is written with market penetration and stability strategy. You might be confused and lost at that point of time. So I don't want that to happen. So if I say existing product market with a growth objective, existing product market with a growth objective, it's market penetration. Existing product market with just increase in functional efficiencies, that's maintaining just existing level of efforts, that is stability strategy. So that's how I need to explain. So make sure that you don't make a mistake. Make sure you don't make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, that's the onus then lies on you only. Right? I would not be able to take this up. Then don't say that I didn't tell you. I've always told you. I've always told this. Okay. Coming on to the next one. That is your growth or expansion strategy. How do we go ahead? So let's take the next one. Growth or expansion. Okay, so it's called a grand strategy. It can be called a master strategy also, but grand strategy is a good word. So even that can be asked in the examination. That please tell us about the grand strategy, and you're like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I just know about corporate level strategies, business level strategies, and functional level strategies. I don't know about grand strategies. Then we'll be acting foolish in the examination. So don't do so. I always try and take up things which I know that substantially examinations are going to test. Okay. Meaning, growth or expansion strategy is implemented by redefining the business, by enlarging the scope of business, and substantially increasing investment in the business. Makes a lot of sense. Expansion is a most promising and popular strategy. I would want to convey something to you. See, whenever you are doing some growth or whenever you are trying to expand, that is something people appreciate, right? That is something people generally appreciate, or the crowd or the society in large, at large, appreciates, right? Anybody who is trying to do something out of the box, trying to grow and trying to do big changes, bring in big changes, is generally appreciated and is like, okay, fine, you did this, amazing, amazing, amazing. I mean that's how it goes on. So if I had to be a manager, if I had to be a manager for a company that follows a stability strategy, and for a company that follows expansion strategy, as of now, I would choose to be in a company with an expansion strategy. Why? Because as a manager, if I'll be bringing in the changes, I'll be given good tasks to change, right? I'll be given good tasks to implement something, and when I'm taking those tasks, when I'm undertaking those tasks, I'll be able to actually bring about something that is something new to the table. So that's where growth strategy works. That's where expansion strategy works as compared to the stability one. So it's popular. So it's popular because managers are always looking for growth, right? Or any company is generally looking for growth. So that's a popular strategy. It's a promising strategy. Okay, an enterprise on the move is more agreeable stereotype than steady state enterprise. So people who have been trying to do something and people who have been trying to, an organization trying to achieve growth is something more agreeable as compared to an organization which is just moving in a stability system. I do remember, I do remember one thing with this. This particular line also reminds me of writing something. And what I'm writing is, I'm just making you write as well. Please do write. Please do write. Please do find space and write. Stability, stability is a do nothing strategy. Stability is a do nothing strategy. Comment. Stability is a do nothing strategy. Comment. So what is to be commented upon? Like stability being a do nothing strategy, comment. Okay, what do we mean by doing nothing? That means you are choked and stopped. Did I say that with stability you are just stopped from doing anything? Or you are still trying to be efficient functionally? You're still trying to do something. So as a comment, what would we say? Stability strategy is not a do nothing strategy. For the fact, number one, now I'm dictating you need to write. I'm dictating you need to write, right? So stability is a do nothing strategy, number one, because so I'm just trying to say it's not a do nothing strategy. So first of all, I'm just saying that it's not a do nothing strategy. So I'm dictating you need to write. Okay. Make sure it's a part of your copy. If it's not a part of your copy or the book, it would not make sense. Okay. So a stability strategy is not a do nothing strategy. Is not a do nothing strategy. A stability strategy is not a do nothing strategy for the following reasons. For the following reasons. Okay, number one, there is a constant effort. There is a constant effort. There is a constant effort to to improve functional efficiencies, or you can say functional and operational efficiencies, to achieve incremental growth. Incremental growth. Okay, I'm just dictating again. There's a constant effort to improve functional and operational efficiencies or efficacies to achieve incremental growth. To achieve incremental growth despite having a modest growth objective. Despite having a modest growth objective. So first of all, I'm trying to clear the air about it. I'm just saying that with the very first point I'm trying to emphasize, I'm just dictating again. There is a constant effort to improve functional and operational efficiencies to achieve incremental growth despite having a modest growth objective. So though you have just a small growth objective, you do have a growth objective, right? And that can only be achieved, that incremental growth, that little incremental growth or those little efficiencies can only be achieved when you are working. So that does not mean that you have stopped. So by no means does it mean that you have stopped. Now comes the second point. What's the second point? A manager, a manager applying a stability strategy, a stability strategy has to constantly monitor, has to constantly monitor. Okay, I'm dictating. A manager applying a stability strategy has to constantly monitor its external environment to look for triggers, to look for triggers that demand change in strategy, that demand change in strategy. Okay, my dictation has to be put up, right? So don't miss out on it. A manager applying a stability strategy has to constantly monitor its external environment to look for triggers, to look for triggers that demand change in strategy. So a manager applying a stability strategy has to constantly monitor its external environment to look for triggers that demand change in strategy. So this also suggests that anybody who is following stability strategy is also prepared, well prepared, and looking for indications coming from the external environment, if at all, to actually change the strategy as and when required. So the manager is still constantly doing something. It's not a do nothing thing. So these 2 points kindly, these 2 points clearly emphasize that you are focused towards what? You are focused towards expansion. You are focused towards expansion. So this is what I am trying to convey. Okay, so that's the strategy. I think stability strategy is a do nothing strategy comment, so it's not a do nothing strategy. Once it happened in the old course attempt that this question was asked, and this question was asked as such that stability is not a do nothing strategy, explain or comment. So a lot of students missed out on the fact that it was written stability is not a do nothing strategy, and instead of saying true they just wrote false, and that created a major problem. Why? Because you have been taught by your teacher in a manner, right? So I have been continuously teaching, say for example I have been continuously teaching like stability is not, sorry, stability is a do nothing strategy, comment. Now I have already told you what happens is in the wake of over excitement that comes around, that comes into your body when you look at a paper, and when you just see that okay there are 4 to 5 questions that you already know, you start booming with confidence, right? And that sometimes leads into overconfidence, and that sometimes, I don't know how does that happen, but you just miss out a diligent reading, you miss out a diligent reading in the examination. So you are not able to diligently read the paper. So when this question came that stability strategy is a do nothing strategy, comment, everybody could write it correctly. But when the question was changed just a little bit, a stability strategy is not a do nothing strategy, comment, many students just made that mistake or committed that mistake that they just read the question as such and they could not read the not behind, not a do nothing. So it could not, they could not just read that not behind a do nothing strategy. So it was a true statement. So they said no, it's a false statement, but they gave the reasons right. So even with the reasons right, if you are just starting wrong, right? If I'm putting a 3 months back date on a check, which is to be presented now, right? The starting is wrong, so everything would be wrong. Even if your signs and initials are absolutely correct, even when the amount filled is absolutely correct, even when there is no discrepancy or overwriting over the check, but still then, I would say everything is wrong. I hope, I just hope that you have been able to understand. Okay, so before reading the growth and expansion strategy, after undertaking this, after undertaking the expansion strategy, after undertaking the stability strategy, I hope that you have been able to do things clearly. I'll delay the break by 2 to 3 minutes as I have to say something else as well. With the stability strategy, the whole discussion is finished here itself. For the fact that any business that we want to continue as such the way it has been continuing for the coming period also, there's nothing to be taught much, right? And with the growth and expansion strategy will be occupying like a lot of pages, and it will go like 1 2 lectures ahead also, right? So we'll be discussing more on it. Definitely that requires you to participate, right? Definitely that requires you to participate, so don't miss on it, don't miss on it. However, with growth and expansion strategy, There would be a redefinition of the business, yes. Expansion is most promising and popular, yes. An enterprise on the move is more agreeable stereotype than a steady state enterprise. Now what do we mean by a more agreeable stereotype? See, stereotypically means normally. So normally anybody trying to achieve growth is considered to be someone more respected. Or as of now, if I just have to talk about any business tycoon, you'll consider it more respected than a steady state enterprise. So rather than someone pursuing stability, people would generally agree to a business, or people would generally find that business good which is trying to move towards expansion. Now, I also wanted to make this a point. Stability is not a do nothing strategy. I'm giving a valid live example, right? Before the corona pandemic, I do remember that Reliance Industries adopted a very simple, normal, stable strategy. Stability strategy was followed throughout, and generally everything was moving the way it was. But when the pandemic incurred, they just shifted gears towards growth, and they just doubled up the worth that they had before. Right? So Mukesh Ambani's wealth also doubled over that particular period of time. And that's how things changed for Mukesh Ambani and the Lords. Now, that also tells you that while they were being stable with their businesses, they were aware of what was happening, and they knew that whenever there is something that's coming up, and if we have to take that leap at that point of time, we should be prepared to take that up, right? And that's primarily important. So that's what I have said and conveyed. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and with the examples given and with all the things given, you can just brainstorm for the 3 to 4 5 minutes. So that's a think break, right? You can take it as a think break. Okay, back again. Yeah, so moving forward with the expansion strategy that we have already undertaken. I'm so sorry. Yeah, putting things back into place and beginning with it. Okay, so with the growth or expansion strategy as we have already initiated, let's go ahead. So what do we mean by the characteristics? We can just, okay, we had one line remaining. So it says, this strategy may take the enterprise along relatively unknown and risky paths, full of promises and pitfalls. So full of promises and pitfalls. Pitfalls means like whenever you are trying to expand, you are trying to perceive something that has not been into your zone actually till now. So you are trying to achieve something beyond the means, right? Or you are trying to extend yourself to achieve something. So that's something very promising. That's not something that's not promising, but that's something very promising. So you try to be like feeling good about that fact, but at the same time you may also fall down, right? It could be a trap also. You could just end up losing whatever you have made in the wake of trying to expand, because every expansion requires investment ultimately. So when you try and invest, say you make a business run, you earn through that business, and then you get some money out of it, right? And if that money is invested again, the investment has to result. So that's a high risk thing. Now say for example, if Rajat Jain, like today I'm 26, soon to be turning 27, right? So today I'm 26 years of age. Say for example, if Rajat Jain has a pool of X amount, and if at say for example at 30 years of age, Rajat sir has a bank balance of 5 crore rupees, right? Now with 5 crore rupees, someone just comes to me and says that, see, Rajat sir, invest into this particular business and this would go well. I would probably be of the opinion that 5 crore rupees, see, I do have 5 to 6 crore rupees. I think I want to keep it as a safety sum, because 5 to 6 crore rupees directly or indirectly would easily generate 30 to 35, 40, 45 lakhs for me, just by the means of safety investments only. So I need not have more to lead my life as of now. I'm very happy with it, and with my own house, with my own assets, I don't think so I need to create more debt and invest into different businesses and try to be something which I don't need to. So I could have that point of view as well. So yes, don't you think so that it can also bring a pitfall, and some other guy may just agree that okay, if 4 crores can become 8 crores, 8 crores can become 16 crores, and if paisa can double itself, right? So when we say ki paisa double, you must have, like, actually I don't know whether South students have like went through the Hindi movies, but I do feel that you might have had memes right now, right? You just do go across memes. So 21 days money doubling schemes. You must have heard of those memes, right? I'm not sure whether you watch Hindi movies or not, but at least I can just give a wild guess that even that is something that you might be looking forward to. Okay, let's not just go into details of it. Okay, let's just go by characteristics. So whatever has been written has to be taken care. Okay, so characteristics. Expansion strategy. Expansion strategy leads to business growth and therefore has a high growth objective. So as compared to what was modest growth objective with the stability strategy, it has now got high growth objective. Uh, it has a process of renewal of the firm through fresh investments and new businesses, product markets. Expansion strategy involves a redefinition of the business of the corporation. So, as such, when we were discussing with the stability strategy, I think all those things are actually applying together, putting in together with it as well. What does it say next? Expansion strategy is opposite of stability strategy in terms of rewards and risk taken. As similar to that, I should say that stability strategy is opposite of expansion strategy in terms of rewards and risk taken. So, do we take too much of risk with stability strategy? No, we continue with the existing level of effort. And are there incremental, super normal returns out of it? So, I would say no. There is just incremental growth due to functional efficiencies that would result in some incremental profit, a very modest growth object. Expansion strategy is a highly versatile strategy. If you remember that when I wanted you to draw a chart and when I wanted you to write each and everything into perspective, and when you were drawing those charts and you were filling in the columns, stability, I did not make you write anything. But with expansion, we had so many options. With expansion, we said self-expansion, we said expansion through mergers and acquisitions, we said expansion through strategic alliance. Then with self-expansion also, we felt that we could expand in different mannerisms through intensification and diversification. With intensification, we had three approaches. With diversification, we had two approaches. In the further two approaches also, one had three approaches and one has one approach. And with mergers and acquisitions, we had 3 to 4 approaches. So for actually trying to expand, you have something like, I should say, you might be having 10 to 12 options to take, to look up to while expanding. Yes, so it's a highly versatile strategy. It will offer you several permutations and combinations for growth. So I think everything the way it has been written by the institute has a clear cut justification. So why am I trying to teach it that way only? Like, see, you can see that this is in continuation. It's starting from page number 1 and we are going on and on and on and on and on. And I don't find any friction teaching here. Right, so that's why I don't skip any topic and I'm just continuing to take the whole topic together. And we are going sequentially and we feel comfortable and fine with it for the fact that you understand that content has to be taught in a manner which makes you connect, right? And this is a connecting content. So far so good. We need not skip any topic. We need not try and jump to some other page altogether and try and learn things. Now student has its own questions, has his own questions, has his or her own questions, right? So they do come and ask it to me that, sir, you always had a chance to uh, do improve your book and place things as they were required for your understanding and for our understanding. So I said that's not the case. That's not the case, for the fact that every chapter has a dedicated weightage which is almost equal, as I said so, right? And every chapter has a dedicated testability, and every chapter has parts, different parts which can be taken up as a separate understanding concepts altogether. So I did not want to disturb that kind of hierarchy just in the wake of arranging things according to me, because that would have that would have manipulated the way chapters are put up. Now at the same time, when you look at the module and you try and compare my book, you would find it more comfortable to read, right? So you'll find it that okay, everything that has to come from module is already there in Rajat sir's book. Also, I do not generally change the language of the topics because that is not required. Okay. So I hope I hope things are all right. Okay, reasons for pursuing a growth or expansion strategy. It may become imperative. The word imperative means necessary. Necessary. So let's assume, okay, let's assume that you were following, you're not going for expansion, you were already having a stability strategy in your mind and you were pursuing that fundamentally correctly. So it may become imperative. That means it may become necessary to follow expansion. So imperative means necessary. Imperative means something which is necessary. So it may become necessary when environment demands increase in pace of activity. So when Reliance Industries Limited, RIL, realized that this was their time, this was their moment to expand, right? They decided to shift gears and leap up, step up to the occasion. So rising to the occasion and coming up in front that yes, I'm ready. Come on. Right. So that's something that you realize that okay, it has been necessary now for us to take all the steps related to expansion. You must have actually gone through, what do we say as there are a lot of action movies wherein rising to the occasion is something like we actually talk of, right? So you must have gone through many action movies wherein this happens. That environment suddenly demands an increase in pace of activity, and you tend to step up, right? The superhero tends to step up. Okay, strategists may feel more satisfied with the prospects of growth from expansion, right? Generally your chief executives, your main leaders, they take pride in presiding over the organizations perceived to be growth oriented. They feel like wow, see this they would have stories to tell and stories to narrate, right? With a stable organization will not have stories to narrate of your valor, of your courage, of your decisions and things like that. You'd be like, okay, yes, I used to work, I had a 9 to 5 work, and I used to come back and I used to have tea and I used to enjoy my life. I was paid decently well, I was paid sufficiently well, and I did not need not I was not required to look into things much. I was happy with the way things were moving. So that's a very different thing that does not provide you the kick that you need. It does not give you the kick that you need. So when does that kick come up? Okay. How does that kick come to you? So that comes when we have growth objectives. So chief executives, they know that they will have stories to share that will add to their curriculum vitae, right? That would add to their CV, and they would be able to showcase that, see, I was a part of this organization and I was the one leader in charge, and we had this growth objective going on, and at that point of time I had developed this, or I brought up this, or I brought up this was my suggestion, this was done, and this was implemented under my able leadership. So this is something that we take pride upon, right? So generally, people presiding over organizations, they want to be having growth organizations so that they also as leaders get recognized. Otherwise, nobody kicks a dead dog. Or I should say that nobody would actually appreciate someone who is continuing to maintain a stable set of business with some incremental growth. However, in long term, that thing could be massive, but still, people don't tend to look up to such people, right? So even strategists and chief executives and managers, they would take pride in presiding over organizations perceived to be growth oriented. What is written next? Expansion may lead to greater control over the market vis-a-vis the competitors, and advantages from the experience curve and scale of operations may occur. So ultimately advantages of experience curve and scale of operations will also be there. So you'll have greater control, and ultimately your scale of operations shall increase, so your efficiency levels, or you should say your per unit cost shall eventually decline. So that is also where we decide that okay, these could be the reasons, or this could be the suitability for a particular growth or expansion strategy. Okay, we do have various ways of going for growth or expansion strategy, and in the book also you can just draw that half diagram that is required. So with expansion now we have only little bit to draw. We don't have to draw each and everything in and around, but with expansion you have three routes of expansion. So I'm just drawing the three routes of expansion rather than trying to draw each and everything. So expansion could be through self expansion. Expansion through be could be through mergers and acquisitions. You should draw it on your own. I think I've already given you the most comprehensive diagram possible, so this probably is not required, or this is just what should I say, this could be just mere formality, right? So mergers and acquisitions and expansion through strategic alliances. So there are three primary ways of expanding. Yes, with the self expansion we have already done and saw product market expansion. However, let's keep a halt here and let's carry on with the next topic in the next class and try and explain how expansions are done. This is going to be a long form topic. Might take 2 more days to be taught, and that's how we will proceed. Right. So we have been doing the lengthiest of chapters first. Chapter 2 was quite lengthy with a lot of concepts coming into play, and this one is also something like that only, and wherein you will be learning a lot of new things. Eventually things will become simpler and simpler day in and day out, and you will find this particular chapter to be easier than chapter number 2. That's also true. So I have also arranged it in a manner of reverse level of difficulty. So as your gas pump goes down, as your enthusiasm goes down, the topic level also subsides, so that it maintains to the same level. So I'm very sure that when you are excited for your very first class, you are equally excited to your last class. That, and in the between, the enthusiasm just keeps on dipping down, right? And now how much that does it dip, that depends, right? So for those whose enthusiasm just dips a little bit, my classes, the difficulty level in the classes shall also dip, so that it keeps the enthusiasm intact along with the concept clarity that you need. So that's how I will be undertaking things. Thank you very much for your patient listening, love and support and everything.